Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and here are two of the cards I made using the new October 2016 card kit from Simon Says Stamp. I'm using their Nutty Over You stamp set and a bunch of elements from the kit. And I started off with just some scraps of craft cardstock that I had in my stash, and I'm stamping these two kind of solid outline squirrel images with some distress ink, and I'm using ground espresso distress ink, and then I just quickly went over it with my water brush, not using too much water because this is just craft cardstock, this isn't watercolor paper. But the one thing with distress inks, while they're amazing for sponging and techniques and all that sort of thing, they're not the greatest for stamping, especially solid images, because they're just not formulated for that. So it's harder to tell on camera because I'm filming a little further away, but they just create kind of a blotchy image, and for me, I really don't like that. However, with these, that's why I quickly went over it with my water brush. It just kind of smoothed it out a little bit and just made them look a little more finished. They didn't need to be perfect because, like I said, I stamped them on craft cardstock, and with the dark ink and everything, I kind of didn't mind a little bit of imperfection. But for those that are really keen on getting like a super smooth stamped image, you don't want to use distress inks for that. Simon Says Stamp, their dye inks are great for that. My favorite things dye inks, Hero Arts inks, those sorts of things are great. I just didn't have a dark brown Simon Says ink. I need to get more of their inks. But anyway, I made do with the distress inks, and that worked. And then I trimmed all of those out with my scissors. And then I pulled out another item that doesn't come in the kit. This is the new Thankful die from their Stamptember release. And I die cut it multiple times from the dark chocolate cardstock that comes in the kit. So I die cut it 3 times. I left the first one inside the scrap of cardstock because that holds it in place. I've shown this in multiple videos, but it is especially useful when working with a die like this that is so finely detailed, and the length of it and everything. It's just when you want to adhere it, multiples of it together, it can be a bit of a pain to get everything to line up. So holding it in that scrap of cardstock just keeps the base of it intact, and then I can adhere the other 2 layers on top. And I just use some multimedia matte adhesive to adhere that because it gives me those few seconds of wiggle room to get everything lined up, and it's just quick and easy. So I set that aside, and then I die cut some of the smooth white cardstock. There's actually pre-scored cards that come in the kit of their 120-pound smooth white cardstock. So you can either use that, or if you have extras, I highly recommend this cardstock. It's really nice, and it does have a really smooth finish. But I die cut a circle of that, and then I'm just using some of the little branch and leaf elements from the stamp set and stamping it with more distress inks. Now, images like this, the distress ink stamped really well. It was a combination of the cardstock and the images with this ink that worked really well, because the smooth cardstock compared with these more finer, smaller images, so they're not solid and large, these stamped perfectly. So I stamped them with different colors of distress inks, and then the berries I stamped with that little mini archival ink that comes in the kit. And then I decided to sponge the edges of that wreath, as well as the edge of the pattern paper that I had cut down with some, what color? Gathered twigs is what I used. So I did all that, and the pattern paper comes in the kit. It's that Lawn Fawn perfectly plaid fall paper that I've shown in a previous video, which I think I'll have linked at the end of this one, that is absolutely fabulous. And then I also die cut, I'm using the Simon Says rectangle dies. I use the largest die to die cut the pattern paper. You can use a paper trimmer, but I just prefer using my dies. It's just a force of habit. So then I use one of the smaller dies to die cut this orange cardstock that comes in the kit. And then I decided to add some texture to the cardstock by just lining it up on my score buddy. You can use the Martha Stewart scoring board. You can use your paper cutter. It just means you have to move the cardstock multiple times. But I'm just scoring lines. I arranged the piece so that these lines will be diagonal, and I'm just scoring every ½ inch or so. And then I turned it so that I would be scoring lines the opposite way and scored lines again. So I get this cross-hatch textured piece of cardstock. Really super simple. I haven't done this technique in years. It was just a super easy way to add some texture to your cardstock without needing an embossing folder or anything like that. So I did that, and then I adhered that to the pattern paper with some foam tape, and then I adhered the die cut circle with some Tombow Monomulti, and then I adhered the sentiment over that with the multimedia matte again. And then once that was done, I adhered the largest squirrel with some more Tombow Monomulti, and then in the kit there's these fabulous little acorn stickers that look almost real, so I adhered one of those. And then for my card base, I just decided to use some more craft cardstock just to kind of keep the theme going. So use that. I'd cut it down to 4 1/4 by 5 and 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. So it's a top folding A2 size card. and then adhered the card front to the card base with more Tombow Monoelti. Said this multiple times. This is so good for stuff like this because it doesn't warp the cardstock, plus it gives you that little bit of wiggle room to get everything lined up before it sets, and then once it sets, you're done. So I used that, and then on the inside of the card, I stamped one of the sentiments from the Nutty Over You stamp set. I just stamped it with that same ground espresso ink, and then adhered that smaller squirrel, and then I stamped one of the little hearts with that same archival, it's a Tangelo ink, I think is what it's called. And then as a final little bit, I just trimmed down the remaining bit of pattern paper that I'd used on the front. So I trimmed it down to about 1 inch by 4 1/4, and then I just used what remaining ink was left on my ink blending tool and sponged that gathered twigs on just for the continuity of it all. And then I'm just going to adhere that to the bottom of my card, and that finished off my card. So I made 2 since I'd done 4 squirrels at the beginning. I thought I might as well do up 2 cards because, you know, I've got the supplies for it all. So I've got 2 thank you cards for my stash, and as always, I will have links below to everything. The card kit, as of filming this and doing the voiceover, is still available. It does sell out quickly, just an FYI. You can also subscribe. I'll have all that info in the links, as well as links to everything that you can get separately if possible, if you're interested in that. And yeah, check out the description box below the video for all of that information. Plus, I'll have a couple more links here to some other videos that you might want to check out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye!